Despite what you may think, magnetic grenades are easily the highest DPS void grenades in Destiny 2, and not many people know this. Comparing a bunch of the top contenders, scatter grenades deal around a third of Karl's health at base, Vortexes deal over a third of his health with a full setup that is maximizing damage, void walls are actually insane, but there's a pretty big RNG factor to getting these to work, plus they deal damage over time in a large interval, but by converting those Weasley old magnetic grenades into handheld supernovas, we get an insane amount of burst damage at base. This may look like it's equivalent damage to Vortex grenades, but sometimes the damage randomly scales up way higher, and when you combine this with something like Verity's Brow, you get double the damage, dealing everything in just a single second, and still manage to keep a 250% increase in your grenade's regen. This setup is also going to work super well with Void Wall grenades and Solar Warlock builds too, so if you guys are interested in seeing a lot more builds centered around Verity's Brow, let me know in the comments below, because this exotic can be used to absolutely break the game. That said, I'm going to be going over the full build in this video that you want to have on to maximize your grenade uptime, while also making sure you're maintaining ×5 death throws for maximum damage. So let's start things off in the Void subclass first. This is very similar to the last setup I made for handheld supernova, so I'm just going to be sprinting through the subclass setup. That said, if you guys aren't already, make sure to drop a quick like and sub down below because it's free. For ad clear encounters and general tanky enemies, I tend to run Cataclysm just so the Nova Bomb tracks, but if you do use this against the boss, make sure that you go with Vortex Nova Bomb. One change that I did make is putting on Empowering Rift instead of Healing Rift. We have infinite healing through Devour with the build, so now Empowering Rift, when we drop it just for Bomber for most cases, will at least give us a 20% buff to weapon damage. And then finally, for our abilities, you are going to want Magnetic Grenade. These are the centerpiece, and they turn into handheld supernovas. First up, for our aspects, we have on Feed the Void, which now allows any Void ability Final Blow to proc Devour. As most people know, Devour is going to give us full health and full shields on kill. It has a timer, which is extended per kill as well, and we also get a bit of grenade energy depending on the tier of enemy that we kill too. More important to this build is going to be our second aspect, which is Chaos Accelerant, so absolutely make sure you have this on, and with it, now we're going to be able to charge up our grenade to make it more effective. As you can see at the very bottom with magnetic grenades, these are going to turn into a short range blast, which is the OG handheld supernova. When we charge this up, it's almost like a shotgun type grenade that shoots out 7 or 5 projectiles that individually track and oftentimes seek out the same enemy. First up, for our fragments, we have on Echo of Undermining, which is going to allow our void grenades to weaken targets, applying a 15% debuff, meaning these enemies take 15% more damage from each source, including the grenades we're using. A lot of people commented on my previous version of the build when I also used this and said that it was useless because they didn't see yellow numbers popping up, indicating that it wasn't applying weaken and increasing the damage of the grenade itself, which is completely untrue. If you compare the damage that you get when running Echo of Undermining while using this full setup versus not running Echo of Undermining, you're going to see a massive drop off in your damage, upwards of probably 50%. With this, we are still running Echo of Expulsion. Anytime we get a Void ability Final Blow, aka our grenade, this is going to chain detonate and cause enemies to explode, dealing damage to nearby enemies to them as well. Lastly, with the build, we do still have on Echo of Starvation. Now, anytime we pick up an Orb of Power, we're also proccing Devour. I know a lot of people think this is redundant, but with an Orb Generation meta, I think this is way too strong to not have on a build, especially with GMs coming out tomorrow, where you just pick up an Orb of Power and jump instantly to full health. The exotic we're running with this build is going to be Verity's Brow, which does a few very important things, which make it very useful in endgame content. First and foremost, with this exotic, anytime we get a weapon Final Blow that matches our subclass type, so for us that'll be Void, we're going to get a stack of Death Throws. Death Throws is going to do two things for us. It's first going to increase our grenade regen rates, and it's then going to also increase the damage our grenades deal. This is going to cap out at 5 total stacks, each lasting 11 seconds, which is completely refreshable on kill. Each stack is specifically going to be giving us a 50% boost in our grenade regen rate and a 20% increase in the grenade's damage. At 5 stacks, this is going to double our damage at 100% and give us a 250% total grenade regen rate increase. The full mod setup is on screen right now if you guys want to pause the video and apply them yourself, or just take a screenshot and follow along as I explain what each mod does and why it's specifically on this build. Orbs of Power will eventually be giving us grenade energy as we pick them up, and they also proc Devour, and since this build is centered around getting Void Final Blows with our weapons, we have on Void Siphon. I run funnel web a lot with this build to get death throw stacks up, and with that, we're going to get a 33% increase in the heavy ammo finder drop rates that we get, since it is a primary weapon, so I have on heavy ammo finder. And then lastly, I do have on 1 copy of Ashes to Assets so that we get a specific amount of super energy back when we're getting grenade final blows. On our gauntlets, firepower is just generating orbs of power anytime we get a grenade final blow, and we use those orbs of power in combination with our armor charge stacks and double grenade kickstart so that we get a specific amount of grenade energy straight back every time we throw our grenade as well, depending on the amount of mods we're running and armor charge stacks that we currently have. As usual, on my chest piece, I do have on mainly resistance-based mods, but I do have 1 copy of Charged Up so that our grand total in armor charge stacks goes from 3 up to 4, which is going to aid in how much energy we get back each time we throw our grenade and is useful for grenade kickstart. 1 copy of Void Surge just helps with getting primary weapon kills in harder content. Since we're pretty much always going to have at least 1 armor charge stack, this means we get a roaming 10% increase in our void weapon damage. Innervation is how we're actually getting grenade energy back when picking up orbs of power. Because we're not using something like Controverse holds in this build, we are going to struggle a bit more with our grenade uptime, so this helps a ton, especially with all the ways we have to generate orbs to pick up. And then lastly, on my boots, there's 1 copy of Stacks on Stacks, so anytime we pick up an orb of power, instead of getting 1 base armor charge stack, we're now getting 2. Lastly, on my class ability, I am also running Double Bomber, which gives 25% or a quarter of my grenade straight back whenever I place my Rift, which is great for topping our grenade ability off. With this, we're also going to be instantly activating Reaper, because when dropping our Rift, our next weapon final blow will also now drop another orb of power, which is helpful for the mid game of the build. As always, on screen right now is going to be the full build specs. This is our subclass layout, so make sure your subclass looks the exact same when you save it in a build, or if you're just running through the subclass layout yourself and saving it on dim. Once again, here are all the mods with the build, and specifically you can see that I do have on Volatile Flow in my artifact, so make sure you're running this to make void ability final blows much easier to get for your weapons. Lastly, for a lot of this build, and as I'm going to cover in the next section of the video, I'm predominantly running Deafening Whisper to quickly generate stacks of death throws, and then as my main weapon for ad clear, I do tend to run Commemoration, especially in harder content, but I also run Funnel Web here a lot too. Just to end the video off, I wanted to go over how you should be using this build. As always, I'm in one of my new favorite lost sectors where we're like 15 to 20 under power on Neomuna. And as you're going to see here, I'm mainly using a primary weapon to get kills and build stacks of death throws. If you wanted to make this build even better, as I already covered, using something like Deafening Whisper or even like a Fusion Rifle or Commemoration would allow you to get stacks way quicker. And then with our stacks, we're getting a 250% increase in our grenade regen rate and a 100% increase in our grenade damage. Heading into this next room, I do need to refresh all my stacks at the ×5. So we're at ×3, that's ×4, and then that's ×5 right there. I will mention that volatile rounds do make it somewhat hard to consistently get the final blow to reproc death throws. So do keep that in mind. If you're not always refreshing when you expect to be, it could be because of volatile explosions, but we're just going to keep using our grenades like that. And as you're going to see here in this next room, I should get my grenade back, refresh on this Minotaur like that. Echo of Expulsion is going to do a pretty good job at clearing out a lot of these ads, as you just saw right there. Okay, so heading into this final room, I do have ×5, so I'm going to cast my super and then show how quickly we gain our super back through grenade kills and the mod Ashes to Assets. Once again, we are at ×5, so that's going to help with my grenade regen. We'll throw this out just to get our first kill, go for 1 kill or refresh like so. Get another one for Devour to proc to give us innate energy, kill the Minotaur, grab Orbs of Power. That gives grenade energy back as well. And then just like that, we're maintaining ×5, getting our grenades back, and clearing out a bulk of the ads in this room, each of which gives us super energy. We'll just wait like a second for our final grenade. Just like that, we're pretty much at full super. We have this guy to kill, and if I do want to top off, I can get this final grenade kill. Just like that, we've super ready to go once again. That is pretty much it for this video, guys. Let me know in the comments below if you prefer this setup with Verities or if you do like the Controverse setup better. I think Contras definitely offers slightly better ability regen, but with this setup, we do still get really good ability regen, and we do get that double damage, which I think is much more useful in a lot of other end game activities. I do also stream a bunch over on my Twitch, where we're typically live around 9 p.m. EST. We just put together our full run for Root of Nightmares, so we're working on PBs and getting our time down for that speed run. If you guys want to stop by and check that out, a link to my Discord and to my Twitch channel are both in the description below. Anyways, that's all for this video, guys. As always, have a good one. Peace.